The CEO sank into his leather seat. The soundproof world he ruled. But before his car could move, a raspy voice cut through the silence. "Shut up." He froze. A homeless man was in the back seat, shaking, eyes darting toward the streetlights outside. "They're listening," he whispered. "If you talk, they'll find you." For the first time in years, the man who owned everything couldn't speak. Because for the first time, he believed someone might actually be saving him. Before we begin, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Charles Whitman, head of Whitman Enterprises, had just walked out of a board meeting that left him drained and furious. Betrayal rumors, falling stocks, and whispers of a hostile takeover. The world outside his tinted windows was chaos, but in here, silence was his fortress, until now. The stranger's trembling hands clutched a torn file, its papers stained with dirt and sweat. "You need to listen," he said, voice shaking but urgent. "They'll make it look like an accident. You'll never see it coming." Charles's instinct screamed to call security, but something about the man's eyes, desperate, haunted, certain, made him pause. Sunlight glared off the car hood, and for a split second, Charles saw the reflection of two men standing across the street, watching. The homeless man leaned closer, whispering, "Don't turn your head. Just drive. They already think you're dead." Charles's heartbeat thundered. Every fiber of his mind demanded logic. And yet, instinct told him this wasn't madness. This was a warning. He shifted the car into gear, his empire forgotten for a moment. For once, the man who gave orders obeyed. As the car rolled forward, the stranger muttered just 3 words that made Charles's blood run cold. "Check your office windows." Charles's foot pressed harder on the pedal as the city rolled by in bright daylight. Glass towers gleaming, traffic pulsing like a restless heart. Yet inside the BMW the air was heavy. The homeless man sat rigid, clutching that dirt-stained file as if it contained a bomb. "What do you mean, check my windows?" Charles finally whispered, eyes fixed on the road. The man's voice cracked. "I clean the streets outside your building. Every morning. A week ago, I saw men installing something. Not maintenance workers, not from your company. Cameras, bugs, wires. They've been watching you." Charles's jaw tightened. "Who?" The man hesitated, then opened the file. Inside were photographs, printed on cheap paper, but real enough to twist Charles's stomach. His chief financial officer, his legal head, even his personal assistant, all caught meeting secretly at a downtown cafe. "They're planning to frame you," the man said, his tone breaking. "Illegal transfers, offshore accounts, deals that never happened. Once it goes public, you're finished. Maybe worse." Sunlight flickered across Charles's face as the truth sank in. Every boardroom whisper, every strange look suddenly made sense. His empire wasn't being attacked from outside. It was being gutted from within. He glanced at the man through the rearview mirror. "Why tell me this? What do you want?" The homeless man looked down, his hands trembling. "Because no one believed me, and because I owe you, more than you'll ever know." A chill crawled up Charles's spine. Something in that voice, a faint familiarity buried deep in time, made his pulse quicken. Before Charles could ask anything more, the man leaned forward and whispered, "They'll strike today, right after your 2 p.m. meeting." The sunlight glared against the tower's glass facade as Charles walked into his office, but it no longer felt like his empire. Every reflection looked like an eye watching him. Every smile seemed rehearsed. He kept his expression neutral, but inside, suspicion gnawed at him like acid. "Stay close," he'd whispered to the homeless man earlier, hiding him in a service corridor behind the loading dock. The man's name was Eli Turner, though he hadn't said much else. His gaze carried secrets, the kind that only years on the streets, or years running from something, could give. Charles slid into his office chair. "Initiate a secure video call," he told his assistant, his voice steady. The moment she left, he switched on a small signal jammer Eli had given him, a crude, dented device that buzzed faintly. A flicker of static filled the screen. Then Eli's voice came through his earpiece. "You're being recorded right now. Look at the bookshelf, top corner." Tiny lens. Charles turned slightly. He saw it, a microscopic dot that wasn't part of the decor. His pulse quickened. For the next hour, Eli guided him through every hidden microphone, every signal trace, every silent betrayal embedded in his own walls. Each discovery stripped another layer of trust, until Charles felt naked inside his own success. At noon, Eli appeared in the reflection of the elevator glass, carrying a small drive. "Proof," he said. "Your CFO's offshore transactions, rerouted through shell accounts in your name." Charles took the drive, his throat dry. "Then we expose them," he said. Eli's stare hardened. "Not yet. They're too powerful. We need to make them confess, in front of everyone." And then Eli said something that froze him cold. "Charles, they already know we're together." The ballroom gleamed with sunlight pouring through tall glass walls, a corporate summit filled with polished smiles, camera flashes, and power. Charles stood on stage, his nerves hidden beneath a flawless suit. To the audience, he looked like confidence itself, but inside, he was counting seconds. In the crowd, Eli lurked near the catering line, wearing a borrowed blazer 2 sizes too big. No one paid attention to the quiet man holding a tray. And that's exactly what Charles needed. "Today," Charles began, his voice echoing across the room, "we celebrate another year of success, loyalty, and trust." Behind him, on a hidden control panel, Eli tapped a command. A red light blinked once. Cameras went live, recording every face, every movement. The CFO, Richard Vale, leaned toward another board member and whispered, "He doesn't know yet. After this, he's done." They chuckled quietly. Charles smiled at them, because he'd heard every word. "Actually," he continued, "today we also celebrate truth." Eli hit another key. The massive presentation screen behind Charles flickered, then displayed images, bank transfers, audio clips, secret meetings. The crowd gasped as Richard's voice filled the hall. "Once he's discredited, we move everything offshore. He'll never recover," panic erupted. Reporters shouted questions. Security guards froze mid-step, and Richard's face went pale, the color of guilt. "You set me up," Charles said quietly, stepping closer. "But you forgot something. I don't ignore warnings anymore." Eli stepped forward from the back of the hall, his eyes steady. For a brief second, the two men shared a silent understanding. Truth had finally caught up. But as chaos spread, Charles saw it. A single tear on Eli's cheek. And in that moment, he realized this wasn't just about betrayal. It was personal. The crowd's noise faded into a dull hum. Police officers escorted the traitors away, cameras still flashing. Charles stood motionless, staring at Eli, the man who'd just risked everything to save him. "Who are you?" Charles finally asked, voice trembling, not from anger, but from fear of the answer. Eli looked at him for a long time, his lips twitching into a sad smile. "You really don't remember, do you?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn photograph, edges torn, colors faded. A younger Charles stood beside a woman and a boy, both smiling. "That's you," Eli said softly. "And that boy was me." The world tilted. Charles took a step back, his throat tightening. "That's impossible. My father died years ago." Eli shook his head slowly. "No, you walked away years ago. From your mother, from me. From everything that didn't fit your empire's image." His voice cracked. "I fell apart, Charles, lost everything. But when I saw those men plotting to kill you, I couldn't just let it happen." Sunlight filtered through the glass ceiling, washing over Eli's weathered face. For the first time, Charles saw not a broken man, but a father. One who had lived through hell and still found the strength to protect the son who forgot him. Security approached, but Charles raised a hand. "Let him go," he whispered. Eli smiled faintly. "You finally listened." That night, Charles stood alone in the same park bench where Eli used to sleep, a cold wind stirring leaves around him. He whispered the words he'd once heard from that trembling voice, "Shut up and listen." And in the silence that followed, Charles finally did, not to the noise of power, but to the heartbeat of forgiveness. If this story inspired you, show some love with a like, and subscribe to be part of the next story. And where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments.